There it is. Lors walks out, but no shot landed. So Stacks and Cosmo actually missed the ambush. They're going to end up regretting that one. No damage earned there.
Yeah, almost feels like their initial plan, maybe move over towards that mending machine. That way they can buy the med kits or the patch up, depending on what's available. But now they can kind of do neither. Didn't get the damage, didn't get any extra HP. Just kind of have to go on like it never happened for the most part. It's Tyler Chance make their way on over towards Bush. Spotted out at the last second. Luckily for them, no shots are going to connect. They're going to wait here on the edge. They've already been rotating from the same direction, so they have a little bit of an idea of how many teams are rotating in the zone behind them. They're just waiting these next couple of seconds to see where it actually pulls, to see what their game plan is, and it's actually not too far away. So instead of pulling towards the north like a few of the games we've seen so far, it does look like we're going to have a middle towards south side zone.
Yeah, Chance and Tyler have, again, been contested against that team this entire time, so now they're going back into the storm. We'll keep an eye on the feed, possibly even a little replay to see what happens there. Back on over to Wave and Amen. We saw their clash go well for them. This is a team that was being very much defensive and passive in their box fight, but in the end it paid off just well as they caught their moment. Now though, looking down towards the Dark Dominion, you can see there's still a few teams lurking about.
Looks like Threats and Fear no longer there. Probably trying to rotate out. And honestly, typical of games, especially as it moves around, whether it goes towards the west like we've seen in previous games or towards the east. Dark Dominion, a bunch of metal resource there for teams that might not be able to accumulate that throughout the course of the game, or might have had to use it for some early game fights for survival. But it gives Wave and Amin just a little bit of an advantage here. Those teams by no means have to rotate out of Dark Dominion, but if it continues to pull towards the east, eventually they will. And that'd be a good opportunity for them to try to get some damage there. But Storm Surge is finally going to turn on in this game, and we really get to see how teams have been progressing throughout. And for Maniac and Anonia, they're almost 600 above the damage threshold. There's almost no reason for them to peak here.
Yeah, there goes the shockwave play. You talk about not needing to peak too much. 500 above the threshold. We haven't seen many teams be this well situated as far as ones that haven't been performing as well in the end game. So this is really good for Anon and Maniac right now. That Waffle Joe though just went from, oh, the team rotated away to who just landed on us. Chaos and Aim from the Storm coming in with a vengeance right now. Also above the Surge, but still getting greedy. See what they can fish up for tags and fights here. They don't get rewarded. Instead, they get Waffle Joe just pressuring them now, hot on their heels.
This is tough because we already saw Amin and his duo inside of the zone. You can kind of see it on the mini-map. They're just looking back this entire time, disrupting this, getting little wins in terms of landing. Even if it's a minute amount of damage, it's accumulating all into their total. For Storm Surge, just Aim lurking, trying to peek through a little bit of crevice. Doesn't get the initial shot, but gets a flank onto Aiden. Big damage coming out, and back to back. Waffle Joe tries to be the hero, ends up the zero. Aim and Chaos Gaming. If there's any moment in a match that boosts your momentum and confidence for Aim and Chaos, that has to be it.
Yeah, I was starting to load up the sayings, you know, you're about to get what you're looking for. You're going to bite off more than you can chew, but nope, none of that was needed. Chaos Gaming did exactly what they needed to, and they got what they wanted. A nice little 2v2, and then they close it out, and they come out ahead without really exchanging too much material or anything. So it ends up working well. Waffle Joe, you're probably thinking twice about how that all played out, unfortunately, but moving on over to Sandman, up 14 right now, who have already found themselves inside the zone. I like the high ground positioning here. They're looking down and pressuring onto the opposing teams all around here, and this is overall pretty good right now.
Yeah, and you can see like everybody now just playing as defensive as possible, because, you know, if you're one of those 14 individual players or full duos that got eliminated out of this game, you're just kind of forced to watch. You have one chance left, and your entire FN season depends on it, because again, it's not only for grand finals next week, it's for the chance at the Major 1 Summit LAN, and then on top of that, Monster, it's a chance at the Global Championship. So there's so much on the line here for today, and in these last 2 games, these opportunities are going by fast. And for Slate, they do already have the focus of the lobby on their attention. They're already 200 plus above the damage threshold, and it's getting even worse here. They essentially need 2 full eliminations worth of damage.
Yeah, it's starting to add up, and it's going to continue to rack up as other teams start tagging them right now. Pressure coming in from behind, from the side, from the opposite angle, but Loriz Amplify take advantage of the late rotate. They get delivered the damage they were looking for, and it just buys them a little bit of relief right now. Oh, here comes another team desperate as well. They see what's all happening here, and although the zone's on top of them, I mean, they will have to welcome this fight here.
Yeah, and even though they did get the damage that you were talking about, Amplify took a haymaker of a punch right to the face, and he just got his shield dropped down. So it's not necessarily good for them in terms of overall Storm Surge. You saw them trying to jump barely above that damage threshold, which is fine for now. But if they don't get proactive and get that damage, they're going to be below the threshold in these next couple of zones. And that's why you see Day and Scuffies, even though they're positioned on towards the edge, they know so many teams have yet to make their rotation in, and this is a prime opportunity for them to build themselves a little bit of a cushion.
Yeah, it's kind of interesting to think about that you can end up engaging on someone, getting the elim because their health was low, but they hit you with so much damage, you end up net negative. So that's kind of what happened there. I haven't quite put that into perspective for myself just yet this weekend, but yeah, that's unfortunate.
Just goes to show that not every fight is going to be worth it, and you can kind of see where they stand after said fight. 54 above the damage threshold. 15 seconds, we'll go from 6th zone into the 7th zone, and that's where we're going to refresh. We get to the next threshold of players that do need to go down until eventually it turns off altogether when we get down to 40 players left alive. But as we see, from 54 above for 17 below. And honestly, they really shouldn't be too worried, because they are in the middle of that path where teams have to rotate in. But now I might have been wrong, because it's active surge. They're on the clock here for sure.
Oh yeah, just slipping below the threshold now. 2 elims is not going to be cutting it, given that the teams that they picked those up on were definitely weakened. Look at this, they're right dead center, like in the middle of all of this here. You need to start opening up some edits or looking for something soon. You know, though, Flowberry misses, of course, allow them to stay relatively healthy and take a few tags here before they have to plus a move. Oh, little knock right below them. They heard something go down. They don't know that there's an opportunity there, but DJ fights back, and a monstrous shot right onto Loriz there. And this is a worst case scenario now. Amplify getting tagged here. Weakened builds are going to expose them to the rest of the lobby. And even though they have so many heals, Loriz also had 2 of the 3 Flowberry fizzes. Now, Amplify does get back to it, though. So, okay, Degen didn't quite get to secure the loot. This is still in the pocket for Amplify right now, but Degen's on him. He's pushing into the box. He's playing aggressive, but Amplify comes out ahead here. And unfortunately, the price he paid, Jacob, was his teammate.
Yeah, that is actually so tough right now for Amplify, because even after winning and surviving against Degen, he's 185 below, but he does have that Mythic Combat AR, which will shred not only through players, but builds as well, but he's getting chopped down below. He has to be careful from all angles, because teams will start to figure out that he is a solo and try to break into the box. But from one zone to the next, 189, still below that damage threshold. Storm Surge will reactivate yet again every 7 seconds, but he's not looking to get desperate. He has 5 chug splashes. He has a little bit left on the chug jug itself, and a rotation to make where teams are going to use those shockwaves to get through.
Yeah, there it is. He's going to shockwave early as well here. Goes for the low ground instead of playing the height with all the material that he's got. Not sure how I feel about it, but onto layer he goes. Missed the shot. That matters, and then gets tagged in the back. 140 damage below. 9 players still have to go down, and he's forced to use what's left of the little bit of heals that he did have in the tank there. Now looking for an edit. Plenty of weak players everywhere. just pull out that mythic and get to work is what I need to see right now, Jacob.
Yeah, spray into the box, just hope for the best. 83. Luckily, he's using somebody else's fizz, but he jumps around along with the shockwave. Lands another big shot. Amplify truly trying to do everything he can to stay alive, but we go from solos to duos. You're talking about putting your foot down. Well, Osid and Scare, they have consistent top finishes in this game, including a second, but first place is the only one that matters.
And those are some key eliminations onto Chance and Tyler, two very experienced players. So you took out arguably some of the toughest competition right now that's remaining in this lobby. But then you have Nut and Sandman, who are, again, very good as well, holding a high ground here. Osid, Scare are just about due for a win, though. We'll see if they be the first to contest here, or what time, if any, they end up coming up. They're still eyeing up that second to third layer there. Meanwhile, Vera and Threats have made another end game. They got past their trouble zone, which has been essentially the mid game. The mid game's been very hard for them, and this is the strongest we've seen them in the end.
Yeah, and so hopefully they can kind of pull it through and execute here. They're using that time and effort to try to regenerate as much HP and shield as possible. Same thing for Scare and Osid, though. 3 eliminations. They're just saving that shockwave. They're moving slowly but surely along with the zone. Sandman and Nut, they're going to re-solidify it. And this is a feeling of deja vu for sure, because we've already seen in previous games Nut and Sandman on the high ground. But Osid and Scare, they're floating so far back. We know that shockwave play is just around the corner.
No way. Scuffies and Day are actually here as well, making their way into an endgame. This is the first big one we've seen them appear in, and although it was looking great for Threats, it is not looking good anymore. Forced to use all his splashes, loses teammate, and even now sitting right behind the wall while Danger lurks nearby. He finds one, can't quite get the second to get the full finish there, and both of those players will slip out just barely, but they're still alive.
Looking to survival here. Osid and Scare, they haven't really looked up towards that high ground just yet. Just waiting. We saw it come in the 11th zone, in the 12th zone in the past couple games, but they look forward. They got another elimination. They grab up all that loot. Just a little bit makes the world go round, but Nut and Sandman, they finally get chopped down to equal playing field. Nobody is solidified as the high ground team anymore. In fact, they're going through all that mess. Nut getting dropped down to just HP. Sandman trying to be the hero. They're elevating themselves again to try to be the team on hype, but Scuffies and Day are also battling for it. Osid and Scare, they just cleared out that mid layer as well.
Osid with a huge refresh right now. That was 2 back-to-back. And look at this. They're down to just a singular build on height. Sandman trying to do what he can to just lead his team across the side here. Boji on the low ground. He's going to go and get fizzled out there to the zone. And it might just come down to the clash from the high ground and the low ground, but it's all going to be about the timing. Day and Scuffies are fired up right now. Northern is someone who has definitely been in these intense situations before. So we really do have great teams still in the running.
And you see Osid, Scared, just kind of waiting, crouched down, lurking around, waiting for somebody to make a mistake. Day and Scuffies doing the same thing, but they're further back into zone, so they have a little bit of catching up to do. Cosmo's a solo, trying to go and solidify the high ground. He has so many builds compared to everybody else down below, but we're in the 12th and final zone. Time is running out. Everybody is sending it towards that high ground. Day and Scuffies, they're the kings on top of the castle for now, though. They've sent Cosmo down below, and this is the only chance they have to try to put pressure on the only duos remaining. Sandman loses Nut, so already they're feeling the effectiveness of that pressure.
0 builds as well. You can hear the rotates right behind the wall, but Osid doesn't actually make the peek there. Scuffies and Day find the elimination. The zone is just eating them alive right now. Meanwhile, it's like a repeat for Chris and Drew's team as they're just sitting down low, healing while all this stuff's going on and just letting the high ground teams take the fight. There it is. Osid, Scare finally secure another elimination, and that's the refresh they were looking for.
I'm sure Day or one of them went down to the actual zone, trying to give up the resources, but it doesn't work out. Cosmo, the only solo, is trying to go up. He has the fizz. He's trying to disrupt. He has to climb up anyway. We're going past that mountain. Big shot on the Scare. Shockwaves as well. Osid and Scare gets flying towards the zone, but they return back. They back and back at it again. Scare gets the elimination. Osid is now down. 9 eliminations, 1v1. No extra heals. Him versus Northern. It's all on the line, and Scare clutches up to advance to the grand finals.
And you brought the energy for that one. That's exactly what they needed right there. Osid and Scare couldn't have timed it best, and that was by far the best game we have seen so far. And we knew it was only gonna be a matter of time. Zeke, that was a great game 4.
Bro, that was such a crazy shot to take. Just think about this for a moment. The chaotic nature, you're like, okay, hey, everything's fine. Oh, what's that? We're shockwave in his zone. Okay, chaos ensues. To take a fight, to push them in zone, to take the left hand peek, Kelly Link. Confidence. Confidence.
I would love to say that this, like, the story was building throughout the entire game, but I think the story's been building throughout this entire last chance lobby. Scare and OSID have been trying out so many different things, trying out so many different little strategies to make their way into the final moments, and they've been there. They've been at the end game every single time, and to see them biding their time in the mid ground, just grabbing refreshes when they can, waiting for high ground to have just enough chaos for them to go up themselves and then to get launched away. But really what stood out to me was that Scare was able to get back in zone, Vivid, but OSID knew that he didn't have the opportunity to go back in, so he stays in Storm, trying to get shots off on anyone else to make sure that his teammate can stay alive, and it just works out.
So many things to break down for game number 4. Obviously, the highlight being OSID and Scare, like Kelly mentioned, the little tweak to the strategy. They've already proven today multiple times that they've got the strategy down. They know how to actually take the high ground. That one little tweak that I was kind of talking about, right? Sticking to their game plan. The one tweak that they needed to make was when they actually went for it. I can't believe I'm saying this, but we had a high ground this game where Nut and Sandman were allowed up there for like 3 zones in a row. Nobody looked up, nobody contested them, and all of a sudden 12th zone comes around and everybody goes up. OSID and Scare, they happen to choose the best time for it. They almost threw that overdrive grenade, sending them both in the storm. Had to be a little worried, but the clutch came in at the end. They're going to Grants.
I just cannot believe that shot at the end, dude. I mean, literally pickaxe the wall, swap the shotgun, and just pray. And it was good. Oh my gosh. Congratulations to the duo. Friends, that means we only have one game. Just one game left to go. For now, a break. I'm gonna go off screen. I'm gonna be stressed. I'll see you guys in just a minute, okay? All right, we'll see you after this break.
Watch me arrive. Watch me arrive. Watch me arrive. Yeah. I'm bouncing back now. Yeah. I can't hold it back. Yeah, I'm bouncing back. These mountains, I'll tow 'em. Those pebbles, I'll roll 'em. No bridges, I'm claiming peaks while you're plateauing. I flag for my city, not really, just kidding. 90 tags they taking from me. This one right here is only for me. My power's so raw, you live in an eye. Bet you bet on my odds. If I had to fly, slide dissolve the minute I got on my bed. Don't need 2 cents or your consent to give it 100%. Cause I'm a beast to lower your head. I rise, I set. Say you want it all, if you want it all. Make a move, don't stop and wonder. Gotta take it out, cause I want it all. Don't stumble, I'll keep bouncing back. Take a step, cause I've been bouncing back. Yeah, I'm bouncing back. Yeah, I'm bouncing back. I keep coming back. I can't hold it back. Yeah, I'm bouncing back. It's just a mission. I do them in my sleep, no commission. I like a side quest, love opposition. With surgical precision, they make losing their tradition. Yeah, they talk, but what they say to me, I'm chewing it all, it's hitting my jaw, the way that it hurts you to think. I'm building a wall, 90s tall between you and me. I'm out of space, you're out of peace, it's a different game when I'm out of your league. Say you want it all, if you want it all. Make a move, don't stop and wonder. Gotta take it out, cause I want it all. Don't stumble, I'll keep bouncing back. Take your cap, take your step, take a step, cause I've been back. Oh, just like that. I beat you in, crank up back to back. Oh, just like that. I see a dub in my future stats. Oh, I know a place you can go. The doghouse outside my massive apartment. softly, it's cushy, and sometimes it's cold. And watch me get this gold. Oh, I want it all. How bounce back? I just want it all. I just want it all. Bounce, bounce back. Said you want it all, but you want it all. Said you want it all. Bounce back. Said you want it all, but you want it all. I can have it all if you knock me down. I won't feel the fall. I just got back up. Oh, bounce back. I just want it all. I just want it all.
Okay.
Oh.
Welcome back to the FNCS. This is the LCL, the last chance lobby. One game right now will decide it all for many players in this lobby. This is it. If players are trying to make it to finals, this is their shot. And on top of that, if that wasn't stressful enough, there's also a chance at finals to make it to the summit, where you can look to auto qualify for a global championship later on this year. Stress all-time high, but it's okay. We got Kelly, we got Vivid here, our best friends. They're gonna talk us through some things that we're seeing, kind of prepare us, calm me down. It's gonna be a great time. So Kelly, Vivid, out of that last game, what did you guys feel went well? Obviously, Scare OSID finally got themselves a VR, as we called out before going to break. If anyone deserved it, it felt like them. But now they're out, right? So now they've moved on, so we have to look at the rest of the lobby and ask ourselves, who could walk away and win?
I mean, if we look at the teams at the Zen games, I swear we're seeing the same names over and over again, albeit
it's true.
4 of those teams have now gone on to their grand finals. But one of the names, Caliper and Northern, they were sticking to the low ground right there and doing a pretty good job, almost playing disruptor to some of our big names like Scare and OSID, who were kind of sticking down to the end game, or to low ground in that end game until the very final moments. And then speaking of final moments, it did come down to Northern versus Scare right there.
Difference being just one singular shotgun shot. And you got to think about the advantageous right hand peek right there. So it's gonna be kicking himself, but he's gotta gear back up for game number 5. Another team that has to gear themselves back up for game number 5. It's gonna be Nut and Sandman. We have seen this team multiple times today up on the high ground. Game number 4 was definitely the best one so far. That being, I mean, Kelly, when did they take high ground? 8 zone, 9 zone? I mean, they were up there for so long, just simply uncontested. I was like, oh my gosh, listen, when I go live, you know, I'm going to talk about how this game was completely different and nobody went for high ground, and Nut and Sandman just won the game because nobody looked up, and then 12 zone happened, and there were like 7 different changes of which team was up on the high ground. So again, Nut and Sandman, I feel like they were just so close. They just ran out of those resources, those materials at the very last moment.
And I will say, from all the teams we've seen have high ground stolen away from them, Nut and Sandman handled that one of the best that we've seen out of all the games. They were able to drop down, able to recover themselves. But unfortunately, when it comes down to the final 5 team, Zeke, there's only so much you can do without people kind of staring at you and taking a few shots. So I think Sandman, Nut played that well. I don't even know if necessarily trying to take high ground later would have even been better for them, because they were kind of just in shambles as far as their loadout goes by zone 10 anyway.
Yeah.
So, you know, I think maybe we'll see them do kind of what maybe Scare and OSID did, where they change it up, they delay it just a little bit, maybe wait for another team to try and steal hype first before they go at themselves.
Okay. A minute left to go before we launch into the final game of LCL. Also wanted to highlight here just really quickly, we saw Day kind of have a moment here on high ground, and I thought, yo, this is a really good spot. Look at this loadout. Look at their mats. I mean, they have things to work with here, and then it just didn't quite pan out.
Yeah, you know, I think their loadout looks great if they're trying to go for consistency, but for the win, although it does look good, having just a little bit of builds is only going to do so much. No one's going to care for heals when you get eliminated just like that, Vivid.
Yeah, we were really surprised. It was like, oh my gosh, how did they make a mistake right there? How did it go down to the storm? If you were paying attention, storm sickness. I think it caught him off guard. It caught us off guard. That replay is actually what was going to bring it to my attention right there. He was taking so much damage. I don't even think he realized it. So definitely unfortunate. That could have panned out completely differently if a little mistake like that didn't happen. But that's what Fortnite's all about. Just one mistake can change the whole game. Not even for yourself, but everybody else playing.
Oh man, well, Fortnite fam, this is it. Last game out of the LCL. this is the player's moment. This is a do or die situation. This is, we get a victory royale, or we're waiting until Major 2 if we want to run that FNCS dream back. And a summit on top of that. Pressure on pressure on pressure for the last time today. MDF Jacob, take it away.
Z couldn't have said it any more perfect. What is on the line here in this last and final game really decides the next couple of months when it comes to playing in FNCS or watching and waiting on the sidelines. This one's going to be good.
Yeah, and we've had this story talking about how this is the year of the new guard. This is the year of all these new, fresh up-and-comers coming through, playing well. Let's see if they can do it for game number 5.
Whether you're an up-and-coming new player to the spotlight or somebody that's been here for years, one thing I know for sure, pressure either bursts pipes or makes diamonds, and there's only one final team left in this lobby that will get an opportunity to shine bright. And honestly, at this stage in the game, I almost don't know who it is. We've had so many close calls, second places, third places from teams and juggernaut teams that we thought would be a shoe-in, but this is like an any given Sunday. In this case, Tuesday's situation of this is why we play the games out.
Yeah, I mean, even Chance and Tyler in that last game came so close, but unfortunately, they just came up against a hot OSID and Scare who were on a tear right there and caught him in the mid game. There are still very much players that, like you mentioned, are veterans that are highly skilled. Threats and Veer are still in the lobby as well. Obviously, you have the likes of Day and Scuffies who almost pulled through there in the end. That unfortunate storm surge there. We keep highlighting that storm surge has been a problem for different teams now. And yeah, staying in the zone and getting that storm sickness is definitely not the way. And look at this, Noah plays Civ. Actually switch things up right now. Go for the early touchdown. They did not like losing Civ early before. So now was taking things into his own hands.
Yeah, this is something I was kind of noticing throughout the course of the day. You know, you kind of look at a team like Acorn and Bolts, the blueprint for a drop like this. No matter who's going there, whether it's Peterbot, Poyo, Josh, Niamzo, they 50-50 these top chests because you could easily get an early advantage. Noah plays Civ. They weren't necessarily doing that throughout the course of today. The one time they do it, they almost get that first drop. Luckily for them, on the other side, they're able to kind of move down the side of the mountain. Hefe, Bob, and Cyros have been granted a second chance here in Game 5.
Got to come back and do what you can with your last opportunities now. Grand Finals, of course, riding on it. Your drive, your opportunity to hit the land, also riding on it as well. Veer and Threats have the Dark Dominion now pretty much completely to themselves here, continuing to kind of figure out their early game strategy. They've only gotten better game after game. Whatever they did last round, though, to figure out that early storm surge, they have to do again, right? That has been their problem, the mid games, making it to end game. Last game, it was looking so good before Veer got dropped on the less. Then it rotate there.
You almost kind of tell it's like a whole different feel in a lobby like this, especially when this is your last chance. Wave and Amen. We saw phenomenal plays throughout the course of that last game, them barely able to survive. Well, now you got to have that happen yet again. Phenom is hot on the chase, and Lightning does not strike twice for them. Phenom and Pods are going to not only get that elimination, get all that loot, and they have a good surrounding land now that they can kind of call their own and farm up. And back on over to this side of the mountain. A fight we knew would break down. It's only a matter of time. Civ and Noah plays. They have the elevation advantage here, even the Harpoon to try to break through the builds, but they have to be careful because Cyros and Hefe are doing a good job of fighting back from down below.
Well, Jacob, I hate to say it. This is game 5, and I see a lurking team off to the west here. They hear the shots, and they're actually positioning for the high ground right now. They might just stick around and actually third party the winners of this fight. Before we get there, though, we have D-Block Ebo and Aiko right now. They're fighting for Wonky Land. Arguably the strongest drop.
Another POI that's kind of changing up how they're approaching the situation, because when there was 3 teams here, yes, they did fight it out. When it got dropped down to 2 teams contesting it, they were looking to split the drop for the most part. But now you're in the last and final game. You're seeing what the pressure is doing to some of these teams, saying, hey, we cannot continue to split. They feel like they need all the loot for themselves, and that's why they're approaching it with a different amount of aggression. But just like the fights at top of the mountain, you have to be careful. Third parties can make their way over. But for Debo, Akko, they're just trying to sit here down below. They're running out of materials. Everything is getting burned through here on their resources. So right now, if they don't start to act quick, they might be out of builds.
It ends up going to distance here. Debo running out of time now. There goes Zero Mess that we just called out. Aiko not even in position to share some with his teammate. He's just holding it down right now. CR's got him also pinned here. Debo now popping a Chug Jug. I mean, they're putting up a good fight for what it's worth, but yeah, not having material is obviously keeping them on the timer right now.
Yeah, it's just getting tougher and tougher too. Just kind of looking at their loadout. They don't really have much, and yeah, you're doing good of trying to pressure the team and in essence intimidate them to shockwave out and disengage, but gotta wonder what it's doing to the overall storm surge and what it's really looking like as Akko continues to lurk around down below. Really just kind of baiting his teammate. You can see they're putting down fire. They're pressuring them while they can. So Akko's just trying to lurk around. So far, he finds success with that first shot. But lurk after lurk all around the map. All the tricks come out from underneath people's sleeves.
This is a good one for Bodrov and Slate here. Actually finding the nice big elim to get to retake this surge base, if you want to call it that. And now start looking towards the coast. Trying to figure out, hey, what were you looking at, buddy? What you had going on back here?
They've had some success in this game so far. Slate and his duo have been able to get at least up into an 8th place, so they do have the recipe not only to make it to the end game, but get in one of those final 8 teams. And with a couple of heavy hitters out of this lobby already, with their tickets punched to the grand finals, hopefully that eases up a lot of the tension and pressure that a lot of teams are going through here. But that kind of puts that decision in your head. Do you go for the high ground late? Is it 8th zone? Is it 12th zone? We've seen a mixture of both throughout the day. Back on over to Wonky Land, where neither one of these teams look like they want to give it up just yet. Not only do you have the mending machines, the mini game that's there, but you can also use the Wonky Wheel to try to rotate if the zone continues to max pull towards the south.
There's Boji jumping into the box, finding Yo5 right there. The finish for the Siphon to keep him in the race. Not bad at all. They get the 2 eliminations here at the Sandy Strip. And remember, every team that falls now, your chance at the Major 1 Grand Finals is officially come to a close and it's over. This is the last game of the evening now. It's all gonna come down to this. So Cyrus and Hefe re-initiating the fight now this time. They're the ones calling the shots here on day. Stood around a little too long here at the drop.
This is kind of interesting from Cyrus and Hefe because they already went through a disengaged fight at the top of the mountain against Noah Plays and his duo, and now they're just approaching Wonky Land. Again, probably looking for resource here, since most of it was split between them and a whole nother team. Damage, possibly a bonus, but timing here is going to be crucial, because the longer and longer you stay here, the higher chances of you getting storm sickness, and that already has proven to play a huge role, as we saw in that last game.
Yeah, most definitely. And it just creeps up on you, right? That storm sickness at the very end. There's no way for you to really tell kind of how close you are to it. But you know, for CR and Day here, I mean, they go from fighting one team and then like obviously right into this one, so not quite catching a break just yet. Noxy, Angel continue to play that split hold on these mountains here, and the zone continues to come this way, so a little bit of favoritism so far. This time they have Amplify and Loriz.
Amplifying Lords, it's got to be a heartbreaking scenario. 2nd place, especially when it was over towards their drop at Squibbly. You don't get very many opportunities like that, but you do get one more opportunity here in Game 5. They're close by. Angel, Noxy has some distance between him and his teammate, so in split second, things could change if they're fearing daring enough. But you and I both know, usually up until a Storm Surge actually pops to really let the players know where they stand in the overall game, you'd like to see a little passive play here. 78 still alive, so a little bit more aggressive, but not by much.
Yeah, definitely. And I mean, again, every team that, of course, qualifies through now opens up the world, puts a little bit more loot on the map, just generally a net positive. So this last game, we do anticipate to go into somewhat of a slow roll, as everyone has the weight on their shoulders to play for a win right now. Should be no unnecessary battles being taken here. If Bluff and Snakes right now still sticking around the Sandy Strip here, so gonna camp this vending machine for the most part. Look at this. You have now the collapse coming in from all angles.
And Snakes and Bluff, they're one of the teams that actually stayed together from their heats up until here. Throughout the day, they've already got a 13th and 19th, obviously. A little far away from that first place, but it shows the progression in their game plan. That was actually a big shot for that elimination there over towards Sandy Strip. They not only get all those resources, but you saw his gold count increase just a little bit. You can pass it on over to your teammates, and then depending on what spawns at the menu machine, whether it's a med kit, patch up, or if you get blessed with the chug jug or splashes, they definitely do have options here in the fifth and final game of the day.
Take a look at that shot one more time. 148 is crazy from that range. That's why Tito just dipped on his teammate there. No need to stick around at that point. Cosmo, Stacks, they were listening in, not interested in sticking around for nothing here at the Riptides.
Surprised that truck is even still there, but utilizing resources that are going to be left behind. You're seeing kind of everybody on this side of the map take a slower approach. The zone is pulling towards the south, kind of centering up, maybe an eastern lean on it, but they know timing is too pressing now for them. You see how close they actually are to the zone moving in. So as long as they have med kit splashes or anything to recuperate that HP, they'll be fine and dandy. Doesn't look like it's going to be too stacked. It is relatively early on in this game, fourth zone, and that's why you see Maniac, Anonia, everybody just kind of replenishing the builds that they were missing. Sometimes when you kind of rotate in from the farthest point of the map, you try to play safe, but you spend so many materials, so it's good for them to be able to stop, pause, and farm up before they continue on.
Waffle Joe, Aiden, still in the storm right now, as well as pushing relatively quickly here. All right, it's looking pretty good for them. They already have one, just have to close this out and not take too much damage here. But Aiden in a bad spot, but Waffle Joe with the excellent little side tag there onto focus does the trick. You know, this is another team that, of course, can pull in the victory. See, Noah's played. Okay, so Noah and Civ actually do survive the drop. You know, I was really concerned after seeing that second and third team kind of show up on the outskirts, but it does seem like everyone gave them a little chance. And this is the first time Noah has actually been able to play into a mid game so far today.
Yeah, and I think he spotted out because he was the high ground of those teams fighting. He might have spotted them out in the distance, easily shockwaved away, and sometimes it's better to stray away from one fight so you can live to fight another. For now, they hear the reboots going off, using that as a distraction while they're focused on trying to re-down that player that is respawning back in the game. They quickly try to shockwave to cover distance, get into the zone. And this is the stage of the game where I feel like it's very, very crucial to try to prioritize your rotations to zone, because if you're in the back just like Snakes is, just like Buff is, and you don't have Storm Surge, the game is essentially being played for you in terms of decision.
Look at the zone. There's so many teams here. There's a fight happening like pretty much northwest of the Sanctuary. They have a team just landing on the outskirts here. Snakes and Bluff forced to pretty much utilize their critical heals here. Maniac and Onia, though, no breaks here for them either. They go from one battle, farming up in the tunnel, straight into the other. So they were chased on their rotate after shockwaving. The team has not let them go. It's Saya and Sky. Same team that saw them exit the tunnel. Just continue to pressure them here.
Uh-oh. Now they really have no choice. Whether if it's that team that they're following now or somebody else that ends up in the path, they're 69 below the damage threshold. They need Surge, and they still got more rotation to make. So they're gonna have to start to figure out plan A, plan B, and plan C if things just continuously don't work out for them. But they're just gonna focus on rotating in before they go for Surge. They still got more of a journey to go. They don't want to hit too many speed bumps along the way, but there are other teams rotating in, and they're falling further and further below, now in the triple digits.
I was gonna say, I know they don't want to stop and fight, but they might not have a choice. This zone's closing in 8 seconds, and they need damage now. Sky Sire still looking, find a little baby tag onto Liam, but it's not gonna do much for them right now. Instead, the lobby's gonna go ahead and turn on them here. And there it is. They do make it to the new zone. Well, Sky had 3 big shields. Saya's just got the med kit to work with.
That's what I was wondering, though. Is Storm Surge going to activate? And yes, it is. If you are below the damage threshold every 7 seconds, 25 damage will tick, whether it's on shield or HP. And while although teams in the distance don't hear that you're being affected by Surge, up until the point where your shield actually cracks, that's going to be the biggest audio cue. You see Sandman hiding around the corner, but he gets spotted out. A huge shot. But he saw Sandman was already weak, so they're still going to be below the threshold.
I'm just thinking to myself, what was he doing? He's just listening to them take a little bit of damage or something in there. But look at this. Someone lands into the box, and after losing a teammate, Maniac actually just gets melted by Saya. And luckily, they do have the slap beats to stay in the game, but no, Sky gets finished before he can actually back up his teammate there. He's got to get the Siphon, though. Definitely. Or the follow-up, but no, Anonia is just playing a little bit sharper. And Anonia will get the finishes. Does lose their teammate, though, in the process, unfortunately, there. And in the distance, Noah, Civ here, hear all that happens, and they're happy to still be in the game. Somehow, they've done enough with the damage thus far. They've been able to manage things.
And you kind of think, you know, 31 teams up, 58 players, which means there's about 4 or 5 now players running around here as solos. That's got to be an immense amount of pressure that they're feeling. Kaz's, Degen saving the day against Liam. Storm Surge is on, so I just kind of figure in most of these fights that are being pushed, it's got to be some way, shape, or form by the cause of actual Storm Surge. Day and Scuffy's this time around. Not only do they pull Zone Monster, they are looted up in their materials, and they are already on the high ground. So we talk about sometimes being too early. Well, what if it gets gifted to you?
There's no way, though. It just seems like after they switched up their drop, like all of a sudden now everything is just starting to come together.
Those little decisions here. They land towards the north, things don't work out, but Zone's going towards the north. They switch it up back to familiarity, that little split drop at the bottom right-hand portion of the map. They get back there, not only they pull Zone, they're going to try to extend outward, keep it intact for now. But you're seeing so many teams trying to shockwave on others jumping on others, and trying to build some form of high ground. That little mountain there, it's not drastic by any means, but it's definitely going to play a role in teams finding success in their rotations. But Civ and Noah, 432, over 2 full eliminations here. Even if they take down Cirque, Rubby, they're still going to be below that damage threshold by 225.
This is crazy. Noah's so risky. Goes into the storm just to see if he can find something. And it's only going to be a little bit of match for the rotated. No! The pressure kicks in. And he sends himself flying back. Civ falls to the zone there. Couldn't make the edit in time. Just like that, it is down to 10 HP for Noah. I was going to say that before that happened, I'm looking at Day and them playing the high ground. And, I mean, they're committing all that material right now, Jacob, and that might actually set them back, unfortunately. Like, it's very early. We've seen it rarely work out when you try to build from that high up.
Especially that early into the game. See if it works out for them. They're going to really have to be looking for eliminations here.
They can bounce back for them.
Yeah, put down pressure. I think the next best thing for them is just pressure, get everybody down below on that second height to burn through their materials. But nobody's even emerging as the second height team just yet. So they're waiting their time. Over 1,000 above the threshold. Doesn't look like they're going to hold on to it. Build. Scuffy's got the shockwave out. So they're going to let teams rotate in the zone, build up, and they're going to hopefully try to land on top and keep their high ground secured.
So far, so good. Degen, though, also left by himself. So we saw Noah unfortunately fall there. His run's over. Now it's up to Degen here. No shield, 48 HP, and a shockwave with a dream. But no, he gets sent out backwards there. So unfortunately, going to get sent too far in. Meanwhile, Threats and Veer buying their time once again into another endgame here. The last one fell a little short. This one looking a bit better as he sees a knock player right in front of him. Goes up. It's the finish, and now trying to get Aiden as well there. The loot falls to low ground. This is the greed that you read about, but Veer is willing to fight for it.
Yeah, I almost feel like in the back of their heads, they might need it, see threats at least running low on those hard materials, just trying to gain them back. Scuffy's they give up that high ground. You probably have the same thought as they did. Might be too early. We can return back up here later on in the game with those shockwaves. 21 teams still alive. If this mattered, it would be placement point haven for a lot of these teams, but it's only the win that moves you into the grand finals. And that's why you think you see so many teams dropping down low. They don't want to be a part of the chaos that is the high ground.
Stan Duffy's still looking good here. Duffy's mats is now about halfway through. Meanwhile, high ground, Highlands, Oak, and Electro go back up for height now. There's still 40 mats, so this is not too bad as far as like what you have to work with. And the combat SAR is also looking really good right now. So they have pressure in the loadout. Angel Noxy still alive. Day loses Scuffy's on the rotate there, and now he's down to just a singular mat. So this is all just come crashing down for Havoc and Vibes. We try to check in with them to see how things were looking, and it's looking pretty rough down low.
Yeah, I think if you're solo here, you're really starting to feel the pressure. Hands probably getting sweaty as it is, but for Day, he has the experience, multi-time FNCS champion, but how much does that really matter? 2 builds left, trying to make his way in. Oak from the high ground gets the elimination, drops down to pick up the builds, and that could truly be the difference maker. Nobody in the 10th zone so far is sending toward that high ground. We still got 2 zones to go, so you cannot let up off the gas just yet.
I was gonna say, I don't think you could. They just have so much ammunition. That's one thing that's so underrated. It's one thing to get high ground. It's another thing to have the ammo to put that infinite amount of pressure down right now. And that's exactly what they're doing. So it's looking really good so far for Electro and Oak. It's really a matter of, do they want to win this game and how badly? As long as they don't make a mistake, this is theirs to clean up.
Got Jeff still alive, Prez by himself, Gary just does go down, Northern on the other side along with Caliper. They were so close to already qualifying and not having to be in this last and final game, but sometimes that's the way the cookie crumbles. Chaos and Aim go up, a worthwhile sacrifice here because they do get the knock onto one, trying to get the elimination onto the other, but Chaos Gaming, he's out of builds, not even a scrap. It's really all up to Aim to try to make the play. It's a lot of pressure for one person to try to overcome, but Electro is feeling that as well. With his teammate down, it's all up to him, and he gets the elimination onto Aim, but at what cost, Monster?
Look at the timing, and then he lands to get the finish, the siphon to keep him in the game, and that decision right there, no builds and a singular tick left on the fall damage there to keep him in the game was enough to go ahead and make the right move, and now he retreats right back up to the ultimate high ground to try to buy some room here. Electro is trying to put the fries in the bag and get out of this qualifier right here. He wants to go to finals.
This is it though, the last and final moments. There are 2 solos running around this lobby and 2 full duos. Eulogy and Stiff are one of them. Pretty consistent throughout the tournament, only if it mattered. It's all about the win. Jeff as well, 10 eliminations for him and Boji, but with 1 build left, he's just lurking around, trying to go under the radar because Electro is continuously pointing out, and these are the 2 solos up above. The 2 duos are down below on the low ground. This is still anyone's game.
This could go either way. Electro's still holding on to what little bit of high ground he's got. This is all the real estate that he needs here. Meanwhile, you have obviously Jeffrey are just looking up, trying to see what he can do, but Jeff's got nothing. He ends up breaking it, and Electro once again hits the saving shotgun shot to stay in the game.
Oh, it looks like he's shockwaving out, though. He's looking like he's shockwaving out to try to go ahead and reach the mending machine. Does he have the time? Because he certainly has the gold. He touches it. He gets the first patch up. He's looking for the second patch up. I have never seen a pay-to-win situation possibly qualify them to the grand finals. Stiff knows what's going down, but he catches wind of the play just seconds too late. Electro V-bucks his way into the grand finals.
Gotta give him a round of applause. The quick thinking, he was so snappy. He made so many decisions with very little time in the same game. All in all, it was absolutely impressive. Jacob, this guy was firing on all cylinders, and you have to give credit to him there, Zeke.
I think I've just seen a string of events and commentary that is peak Fortnite. I have never seen a play I'm in shock. I have never seen a play like, please production, get us those highlights as soon as possible. I've never seen one player be such a dominant force to drop down to one pump someone and then just zip on back, hide away, have what they need, pick those moments, Kelly, show up, you know, knock on doors, punch boxes in, then dip on out, go straight back in his zone to, as Jacob said, to V-buck his situation, to pay to win his situation. Not actually, this is a joke. Oh my gosh, Kelly, that was the craziest thing. That's one of the craziest things I've ever seen in my entire life, period.
We said it at the start of the show. What is it that separates the Last Chance lobby from the Heats? And it is the desperation that our teams face. And you could see in those moments, Electro knew how desperate he was to get him and Highland that spot on the grand finals, the final spot of the day, of the entire major. And he did it in such a fashion. Vivid, I feel like the only time I have seen such awareness of the map and what they needed in that circumstance in something like a slurp rush, you know, where it's a smaller map, they know everything with the POI, so to know exactly where he needed to go in that moment, to have that clarity after being a solo player for so long, I love it. That's what I love to see.
We finally got to see what it takes to go ahead and solo clutch your way through a win, through the Last Chance lobby, in order to get into the grand finals. Clutch shots, instant decision making on when to use the overdrive grenade into the storm. And I gotta tell you something, it couldn't have been any more perfect. If he got over to that many machine and a couple of those builds weren't edited the way that they were, he wouldn't have made it. He was down to like 20 HP. If he had to break through any of them with his pickaxe, I don't think there was enough time. It just ended up being so perfect. Great thinking there, on your toes, way to be. Definitely deserved.
Shout out to Jacob as well. The moment that it happened, Jacob was like, dude, I know what they're doing. Actually, can we see that just one more time from Electra's perspective? You guys just don't, like, if you're not privy to, like, or if you don't follow Fortnite, this is the LCL, okay? There's an unbelievable amount of stress in this situation. These players are trying to make some semblance of a plan, put it together, put the pieces together to make it to a finals this weekend. Electro just stunted on that entire lobby, okay? He drops down twice, one pumps twice, shocks in the zone, like, and you're right, Vivid. I mean, if even one of those things was off, yeah, he's eliminated there. But for Electro, everything was right. Everything lined up, Kelly. That was so impressive. And what a way to do it in this moment at the final game. And I mean, Vivid, we can only praise him so much, but you know that he himself has to be feeling pretty good, and his teammate as well.
Couldn't cut it any closer. Went all the way down to the very last moments, and man, we're going to be remembering that one for a long time. We've had one heck of a day full of highlights. That one definitely takes the cake, but we got to remember exactly who we put through to the grand finals through this awesome, entertaining format.
Here they are, the winners out of every single game. They had to get a victory off. They wanted to keep the FNCS dream alive. And now all of these duels will be making it into finals this weekend and looking to fight for not only prize money, an Axe of Champions, but also a spot going to the FNCS Summit. Now just about a month away to try and qualify for the Global Championship. I mean, man, oh man, guys, this is incredible. You know, obviously there are players that did make it, right? And that is unfortunate, but we still do need to celebrate those who did. And this is starting to give us a more complete picture, Kelly, of the finals, right? This is starting to give us a more complete picture of what we're going to be seeing. Now we can start looking at the drop map and going like, hey, this is how this is all gonna, you know, come to a head.
I don't think I want to look at that drop map for a moment. I know that it's been changing and POIs have been switching a little bit. I've been watching you guys, so I'm going to give it another 24 hours after the LCL to make sure to take a glance at that drop map, Vivid. It's a little scary right now.
24 hours, I don't know. We might have to give it 48. We might have to wait until we're like 30 minutes. We might have to just wait for first game to happen in Grand Finals to know what the heck is going on. Heck, coming in today, we didn't know where some of the teams are going to land. And that's what Fortnite's all about, man. Catching people by surprise. Sometimes it gives you the edge that you need. And we know our players, they're going to use every single thing to their advantage that they can, especially come Grand Finals.
Wow, I'm just shocked. I gotta go back. I gotta go watch that moment again like 10 times. Fortnite fam, that's it for us though for the LCL. Now what you have to look forward to is finals this weekend. NA, EU, all fighting for their spots, going to Summit for Acts of Champions, for titles and glory, all this weekend. You do not want to miss it. It is going to be a phenomenal time. Now, of course, we do have a little bit of downtime before then, so until we see you this weekend, we love you, keep yourself safe, and we'll see you on that battle bus.
Beep, beep.
Beep.
Like that, I beat you in, crank up back to back. Oh, just like that. I see a dub in my future stats. Oh, I know a place you can go. The doghouse outside my massive abode. It's lovely, it's cushy, and sometimes it's cold. Now sit and watch me get this gold. Oh, I'll bounce back. I just want it all. I just want it all. bouncing back.